Coming up on TekThing, the pie hole is back and the ads are gone. Comfort in motion, Shannon reviews Contour's Unimouse, CPU wattage confusion, cheap Wi-Fi versus mesh Wi-Fi, and yes, I do love curling. All that and more coming up next on TekThing. Thank you, patrons. Without your support via patreon.com/TekThing, we wouldn't be able to make the show for you. Please join the crew that makes TekThing possible at patreon.com/TekThing. Thanks.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patrick Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we have something useful in every single show.
And today we're going to do an entire show dedicated to curling.
No, we are not.
Okay.
We're not doing that.
I just had to put this in here. At Rubberneck tweeted, now listening to the latest AVXL, trying to figure out if Patrick is legit excited about Olympic Games 2018 pound curling. So AVXL is a podcast with Robert Heron about home theater stuff. And yes, I actually love watching curling.
He really does.
No joke. My very first VPN subscription was to geolocate my IP to Canada so I could stream curling videos that were blocked in the United States.
Why am I not surprised?
I don't know. I don't know the names. I just like, it's soothing. And my son loves watching it too. So it's genetic.
That's
Maybe
adorable.
my dad loved watching it. He never told me.
Okay, so moving on. Steve in Tampa emailed us. He says, hi guys, want to start by thanking you both for all you do. Love the show and watch without fail each week.
Thanks,
Thank
Steve.
you, Steve. I am moving into a 3-story townhouse that is wired with Cat 5 to most rooms.
Nice.
Would like to add Wi-Fi to the mix. My question is, mesh networks cost between $200 to $400. A router with Wi-Fi can be had for less than $40. Granted, the throughput might not be as great as mesh systems and handoff not as smooth. But for streaming Netflix, web surfing, etc., is it really worth it to get the mesh setup at this point in time? Regards from Steve in Tampa. Thank you, Steve.
Oh my goodness. And I covet your Wi-Fi, your Ethernet in every room in the house.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So one thing to think about is when you talk about like the handoff, there is no handoff. If you put like 3 wireless access points in your house, like one on each floor,
yeah,
you're gonna have to like pick one, and if you change floors, you're gonna have to manually go in and move those around. It's a wicked ripping pain in the ass. I gotta be honest, I will never go back from using mesh Wi-Fi systems in my house. The speed and the throughput is part of that, and being able to seamlessly transition, from one mesh device to the other without thinking about it is awesome. But the thing for me is I actually cover every single corner of my house. That is the real attraction. Literally the back 25% of my house I could never reach, I got like 100 megabit back there.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
It makes me so happy. My second thought here is if you buy a $40 router, make sure it does AC, and I'd really rather you spent, say, $90 for Netgear's R6700. That's Wirecutter's budget pick. It's a nice combination. They basically say, look, it's good performance, it's got good range, and you don't realize it, but most people these days, it's like you've got, my television needs Wi-Fi, my Apple TV, my Roku box.
Yep.
There's 4 cell phones in the house, the laptops, this, that, the other thing. The thermostat. The list goes on. In your case, it's crazy, right? Because you've got Wi-Fi for security cameras.
We only have 2 people in our house, but we have like 4 security cameras now. We have like 4 consoles. So it just gets out of control.
The ALEXA boxes.
Yeah, there's like 3 of those.
You can easily find yourself 2 people, there's probably 30 devices on the network in that house, and you don't want the network to bog down.
My Belkins, it's just, it gets a little under control or out of control. So you want to make sure that you have a wireless router that can actually handle so many devices connected to it all at once.
Gracefully.
Yes.
Because nobody wants Netflix to go out because somebody's doing something at the other end of the house. Your coverage, though, entirely depends on the house, its construction, what it's made out of, the layout, whether or not you can get a router into the center of it, and if the router actually has the minerals, if you will, to cover the far corners of your house. You can buy it this is a $273 router, and you may find out the performance sucks. By the way, smallnetbuilder.com, great place to go to get router reviews. you could try, Steve, put the router in the center of the house on the second floor. If you can get your cable modem or whatever your internet connection comes from to the center of the house, and then hopefully, right, that router, that $100 router, that $50, the $40 router, you said, in the center of the house will reach the third story, the first story, and also the corners. Because there's nothing worse than being like, I want my desk in this corner so I can see that thing in the backyard because this is where I'm going to work, and suddenly finding out that it works if I turn my desk around and can't see the window. That's the nightmare of a cheap router.
Right.
You might cover the whole house. You might cover the second floor. I live in a single-story, 1,100 square foot Craftsman house. Every single router in the history of the planet should be able to cover my entire house. I could never get Wi-Fi in the back bedroom because we have these crazy plaster walls.
Oh.
And
you basically live in a Faraday cage.
I live in a Faraday cage. I live in a Faraday cage, plus there were complications before we could bring the internet in.
Yeah.
And then I was like, at one point I did a whole bunch of work and I ran Ethernet under the house from what was then the cable modem and is now common.net, and brought it back up in the center and put the modem in the center of the house, and discovered that even if I had the modem in the router in the center of the house, I still couldn't get the back bedroom to have Wi-Fi.
What a pain.
With a mesh system, the ones I've used the most are from Amplify Eero and the incredibly stupid fast Netgear Orbi.
Yep.
I can get full coverage. In fact, the Orbi, there's one box in the front of my house. I love the pictures on the Orbi's website. When you go to any of the mesh routers website, at some point you'll run into something like this, where this is the first floor and the second floor, and the blue is the coverage. Everything's covered. And it's like Eero's got, oh look, there's these Eero boxes, and there's magic RF waves covering the entire house. Yeah, and where's the Amplify? Oh look, you know what I mean? They're all, the idea is that you blanket your house in Wi-Fi.
Right.
So the Orbi not only covers my entire house, but outside of the house, in the garage, at the far end of my property,
that is nice.
I still get 25 megabits per second.
That's cool.
Which is like a quarter of the speed inside the house, but I've never actually been able to get Wi-Fi out there before.
Right, right.
Technically, right, the Orbi isn't a mesh, but it has this really fast dedicated backhaul. So it literally creates a network. This is a picture off of Small Net Builder, where it has this massively powerful connection, 433 megabit per second.
Jeez.
Well, that's the theoretical maximum, and I can get incredibly fast speeds through this, although it turns out Ethernet still crushes it in terms of overall bandwidth. So, in your house, you could use a mesh system combined with the Ethernet in your house and get kind of the best of both worlds. Multiple stories, Ethernet on every floor. You can put a mesh device on each floor and probably have the most amazing coverage ever. Mm-hmm. You might try the cheap router first, and then upgrade if it doesn't work.
Yeah, true.
You
could always reset it and resell it so that you don't lose out on that much money.
Well, yeah, and a lot of places, if you can return it, you can return it. Again, my personal favorite right now, just because of the blistering performance, is Netgear's Orbi. A 2-pack of those is like $292. 3-pack, ooh, I don't want that 3-pack. I want the 3-pack with the big ones.
Yeah.
That's like $500. It adds up. Well, it also...
It does add up, but it makes sense because you're basically paying for that many routers.
Yeah, and they're pretty ninja. The other thing is the support is so much better on these.
Oh, good.
Our friend Robert, the guy I was talking about from AVXL, he was administering his mom's Amplify system from 2,000 miles away. Oh, wow. We see
that's cool.
These are getting firmware updates. They're getting security responses. So unlike a lot of cheap routers, you actually get supported, which is also a really nice thing.
Always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any questions about networking in your own households, or if you're curious which router would be best, let us know. Ask at TekThing.com, or you can tweet at Patrick Norton, at TekThing, or at Snubs.
Please do. 3 things you deal with every time you sit down at your computer. The monitor, the keyboard, and the mouse. And we are constantly trying new keyboards and mice.
That's true.
In a search for the most awesomest ever. And what is that?
Well, personally, I actually prefer my gaming mice that can light up pink and purple and all the colors of the rainbow, which this one does not. But it is the Unimouse by Contour, And it's an ergonomic wireless or wired mouse that costs either $99.95 for the wireless version or $89.95 for the wired. And you can find all the information on it over at unimouse.com. Although Mr. Patrick Norton is playing with the mouse, which is currently connected to my computer. Stop!
Oh, goodness. Sorry.
It's so funny.
Well, it's got a hinge. I mean, it
does.
Show the thing with the hinge, which you
does have a hinge.
could have done a second ago if I wasn't bouncing your mouse around.
So if I scroll down here, here's a great little video of it, and I'll show you some B-roll as well. But basically, you can go from 35 up to 70 degrees with this mouse in an ergonomic feel. So it's supposed to help you out and keep you comfortable and keep your wrist from getting strained and stuff like that. So at this time, it's only available for right-handed use, but Contour also sells a mouse called the Contour for lefties. So if you want a left-handed mouse, you can get one, although it doesn't have all these features. So as you can see, I have the wireless one. This connects over a 2.4 gigahertz wireless dongle, which nicely has a cable so you can stick it wherever you get the best connection to the mouse if you need to. In Windows 10, it automatically connected with no issues. However, I noticed after I downloaded the beta software, I had an issue with the scroll wheel, so I had to restart the beta software for it to actually work again. It was very weird. But anyway, to charge, you use a micro USB cable. So super easy to charge until it's at 100%. It's very easy to tell when it's finally done. It just lights up green, so yay, it's at 100%. And the full charge takes about 2 hours, and supposedly it will last for 3 months, not 3 hours. 3 months. And I'm
just laughing. I was like, charge for 2 hours, use for 3 hours.
Use for 3 hours.
Charge for 2 hours, use for 3 months. Got it.
Now, obviously, I have not had the review unit that long, so I can't say if that's accurate or not. However, it has not died in the time frame that I have been using it yet. You don't need to turn it off after use, which is pretty nice. It just auto shuts off while it's not being moved around, and then it'll wake up again whenever you move it.
So it's a mouse.
So that's kind of cool. Yeah. It's a mouse. You can check the battery status by clicking on the little button right above the LEDs. As you can see here, it lights up green, and then it shows me that it is still at 100%, even though I haven't charged it up again since I received it. To set the DPI speed, which you can do on this machine as well, there are 10 different options. You click the LED button as many times as needed to go from 800 DPI, which is the lowest setting, up to 2800 DPI, which is the highest setting. Now, unfortunately, you are stuck with the presets, the 10 presets that they give you. So if, for example, you like 1300 DPI, you can't get that. You either have to use 1200 DPI or 1400 DPI.
I'll manage.
I know, you'll manage, but maybe the gamers want out there, so keep that in mind. Now, in the beta software, and I will show you what this looks like. Now, because I do have a high-resolution computer, this is a little bit small on there, so hopefully we can zoom in a little bit. You can change the cursor sensitivity, such as right here, and you can change things like the scroll speed, which is down here, and then you can go over to your buttons and wheel, and you can change those around as well. So you can set preferences and customize the buttons as you see fit, which is very useful because it does have 2 thumb buttons, as you can see on this picture here. There's the left click, a middle, and a right click, as well as 2 thumb buttons over here. And there's a scroll wheel too. Now, each time I changed it, though, it did require a reboot to save the changes in Windows 10. Now, that is beta software. Hopefully, you won't have to restart your computer every time you change something on your mouse. But at the current time, I had to do that every single time I changed something in the software. Now, the scroll wheel does have grooves on it, so it won't do a continuous scroll, like really fast down a screen or something like that. It will pause and make you, like... pause while you're going down the screen.
So you can't use it like a trackball and go
no, you can't do track pulse zizzing across the screen. There is no fancy lighting, as I mentioned, like my gaming mice, but the buttons are very, very clicky. They are not quiet. I actually prefer clicky, so I like that. It does have a 20 million click lifetime, and the mouse comes with a 2-year warranty as well. But the interesting part is the ergonomic support. It is lightweight. It's only 4.5 ounces, so it's super, super lightweight. It is somewhat plasticky as well, but it is very easy to move around on a desk. It doesn't get stuck or anything like that, which is great. And you can tilt it between that 35 and 70 degrees or anywhere in between too. Now, as an example, I prefer mine to set at about 40 degrees, so I would press it down almost to the very bottom at 35 degrees and then tilt it back up just a little bit. And that's where I kind of prefer to set my hand. It does hold the tilt really strongly, so it's not going to slide back down to 35 degrees over time. And there's also this articulating thumb support, which they call the ATS, which is awesome. So you can slide the ATS forwards or backwards. You can also tilt it up or down, depending on where you like to stick your thumb. And you can also slide it outwards and there you go. So if you have a really, really big hand, you can slide it out and it will be more comfortable for you. Now, they do sell it on Amazon right now. It's on Prime, which is great, and it's currently that $100 cost for the wireless version.
So the whole point of this is pretty much to find whatever your natural hand position is and then match the mouse to that position.
Exactly, yeah.
Cool.
And it is very comfortable, like 100% comfortable, long-lasting. The wireless makes it unobtrusive, which is excellent for me. The software does need some work, though. I mean, it's currently in beta. It's a little bit janky, and I would love to see a left-handed version as well.
There's only beta software?
Only beta software for the Unimouse. They do have like the contour mouse for lefties, and that one has regular software that's out of beta, and supposedly it works a lot better. But the Unimouse only has the beta software for Windows 10 at the moment. They do have Mac OS software as well, but apparently that one is also a little janky. I don't have an Apple product to use it on. I have Windows, so that's what I tested it with.
Probably not the word contour uses.
Yeah. Otherwise, it does work out of the box if you don't need to customize anything, so you don't have to download the software, and out of the box it works excellently. I had no issues with connecting it, and I really liked it. It's a great product. It's very, very comfortable. Just dealing with the software is a bit of an issue.
Was the biggest thing just having to restart it?
Yeah, that was about it.
So
Restarting,
once you get it set, though, it's
once you get it set, it's pretty solid. If you have to reconnect it, you might have an issue and might have to restart your machine, but otherwise, yeah, it works fine.
Don't unplug the mouse.
It's so comfy. Yeah.
What do you mouse with? Email ask@TekThing.com. We are curious.
I can move the thumb thing. It's awesome.
Got a question? Curious to see us review something on TekThing? Got a tip or an idea you want to share with the audience? Please fire them out to ask@TekThing.com, or you can tweet @TekThing, @Snubs, or @Patrick Norton. And hey, if you want to be part of the crew that makes TekThing possible, please contribute to the show at patreon.com/TekThing. Thanks.
We get a tweet from Dawn who said, @TekThing, I set up a Pi hole on my Raspberry Pi a couple of months ago, and I am loving all the crap that it blocks from my home network. Is this the best way to block ads and bad sites? So if you missed our previous episode of TekThing, episode 121, you can go over to piehole.net, and a Pi hole basically means that you're installing an operating system on your Raspberry Pi, or you can also install it on your favorite Linux distro on a PC. And then you simply type in this very easy command. It's a curl script. So you curl SSL install.piehole.net, pipe that over to bash, and then you point your router's DNS settings at the Pi hole, and you are now running the mother of all DNS blockers. It ends up blocking over 100,000 ad-serving domains, and it does it at the network level so that you don't have to fiddle with settings on all your different devices, which is pretty freaking cool to me.
Yeah. It's awesome unless you, I mean, if you hate ads, it's awesome, right? The thing is, if you ever go to websites that require you to whitelist them, if you want to view them, it can be problematic. You can whitelist sites, but it's complicated enough that I've never tried. You can't just add, say, Forbes.com. You need to whitelist all the domains the page actually uses.
Yeah.
And this is literally like me quoting myself from episode 121. I had a bunch of sites like that, so Pi-hole was entirely too nuclear for me to run in my house. And also it created sort of familial difficulties where somebody's like, I can't get this website to come up because it required it. So if you want to lock out all the ads from your home networks, it's pretty amazing. There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
As far as blocking bad websites goes, that's not really what Pi-hole does. You can run Pi-hole and still get the filthy, nasty pictures of mollusks.com. You just won't get the ads they run on filthy, nasty pictures of mollusks.com.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know if that's a real website. I'm never going to check because what has been seen on the internet cannot be unseen.
That's right.
But no, it's amazing, and it's a cool piece of software. If you're more worried about blocking, like I want to prevent my child from going to filthy, nasty pictures of mollusks.com, something like OpenDNS, where they do DNS filtering of stuff, is a good start, but I've
Yeah.
also noticed that there's nothing quite like a teenager that wants to see a website to get around anything you put in place in terms of filters.
That's very true.
They
That's
got
a very
patience, they got time, and they're desperate to see the stuff you don't want them to see.
A lot of routers also have that kind of blocking built in, but sometimes it's not as customizable as something like the Pi-hole, which is, like we mentioned, the mother of all blocking features.
Right.
So
At least for ad serving
Right.
websites.
And there's
So
also,
many
if you want to do local blocking on your computer, for example, there are some extensions that you can download. For example, I believe I use currently HTTPS Everywhere, and alongside that I use Privacy Badger, which ends up blocking a lot of different things. So there's a bunch of different extensions that we have mentioned in previous episodes of TekThing as well, which you can totally check out over at TekThing.com. If you have any alternatives to the Pi-hole as well, I would love to know what those are. You can reach me. I'm at Snubs on Twitter, or you can email us, ask@TekThing.com.
At Mark Cooper tweets at TekThing, how do more powerful CPUs in the same family use fewer watts? An i5-6600K is rated at 91 watts, but the much faster i7-6700 non-K is rated at 65 watts. Well, you're comparing oranges to overclockable oranges.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's nice. I like that.
I just was like, how can I describe this? But there's a really cool webpage on Intel's website that I've never seen before today that tells you how to basically read all of the suffixes and numbers inside of the different names.
I didn't know this page existed.
Neither did I. And when you go to K, you are talking about unlocked model CPUs. So you can overclock these. You can also really nerd out on Intel's processor numbering system. Nerding aside, a Core i5-6600 is rated at 65 watts, the same as a Core 6700. A Core i7-6600K has a 91 watt TDP, just like the Core i5-6600K.
Huh.
It also gives you 4 more threads, that 6700K, for a total of 8 threads, which means it does a whole lot more work, and it does it faster, like 500 hertz faster, not even getting into turbo mode. Thing is, though, the higher TDP on the K parts gives you the headroom to overclock.
Right.
And, they also
That's why a lot of gamers really like the K versions of the CPUs.
Because they want to overclock and see how much more power they can get out of there. Intel doesn't ship coolers with K-series parts because they want you to use more powerful aftermarket cooling.
Yep.
Or they just know most people are going to throw out the factory cooler when they're buying a part to overclock.
So true. Gosh, man, I'm going to totally geek out over that page now.
It makes me happy.
It's so
Not
exciting.
like curling happy. But it's
I don't think
happy.
anything would make you curling happy. That's so funny.
It's so soothing watching curling.
Well, this is just like when I geeked out about RAM numbers and all the strange things that are included in those titles. Like
There's
this
a
is
lot
the
in
same
here.
same kind of geekery that I like to get into.
Y series, extremely low power.
Oh, not buying one of those, that's for sure.
Well, it's, if you've got like a super. You were going to tell us about
I'm
the
super
analog.
excited to announce that I found a GPU at Best Buy. Thank you, Patrick, for telling me about that. I had to order it and do a local pickup. I'm awaiting the message that tells me it is ready to pick up. It should be ready in 7 days, so hopefully I'll have it by the time this episode releases.
At the other end of the country, another friend of ours found a 1080 Ti for a mere $900.
Oh.
Which, is heartbreakingly high over the MSRP, but incredibly low compared to what they're usually selling for on Amazon or other places.
Exactly.
So keep searching. They're out there.
Yep, they are out there.
The prices will drop.
All right, well, once in a while, put down your phone, step away from the screen, close your laptop, and do something analog like Papa Lency, who wrote, I've attached a photo of a recent trip to Disney Orlando for your Do Something Analog portion. Have a great week, and thanks again for the guidance from Papa Lency. And thank you so much. These pictures are so adorable. I love it. And I'm guessing that's your wife? I don't know. Who's the lady friend? She's gorgeous, by the way. And I love the balloons. That's my favorite part.
They make you happy.
Yeah, the
Curling happy?
They're like green screen balloons
Are we
or
talking
something.
curling happy here?
Almost curling happy. Almost. The balloons are my favorite though. They're so cool.
Thank you so much. If you have an analog thing to share with the audience, please email ask@tekthing.com. And on that bright and cheerful curling happy note, I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Shannon Morse.
We'll see you next week on TekThing. How many times have you been to like Disneyland or Disney World?
I've been to Disneyland probably 3 or 4 times throughout my life. No, actually, it's probably like 5 or 6 now because I went like 2 times last year. Disney World, I think I've only been to once, and I was a very small child.
I guess Land is in California and World is in Florida.
Yeah.
I haven't been to either one since like 1983.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, the Star Wars thing is going to open up soon.
I think I might take the boys to Legoland, but I did not enjoy the last time I was in Disneyland.
What? But it's the world. It's the place of happiness.
No, the happiness place on Earth is the Double Down in Las Vegas, Nevada. It says so above the door.
That's hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
Well, the happiest place for me on Earth is like Japan. So.
There you have it. By the way, thank you for making us happy by allowing us to feed ourselves by supporting us on patreon.com/TekThing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. See you next week.